Today on In the Woodyard, we're cooking. Bacon, that is. Here we go. So I have an idea here. Some of you are going to think I'm nuts. Some of you are going to say, that's a good idea. And I don't expect everybody to be happy about this, but something I've been wanting to do for a long time now. What I'm going to do with this is something weird. Here's the plan. Husqvarna, and I know there's several other makers that make Dolmars. And if you know what a Dolmar is, it's not the brand of chainsaw that used to be around long ago. This is something that is basically a Caddy kind of a thing that has your gas and oil together, along with maybe a wedge and a scrunch. Well, they make them. They're $50, $60, something like that, but they're a little bigger than what I want, and I've heard some bad things about how they work. From what I've heard, and I don't have one, so I don't know, certain brands, when the gas is in it, if it sits in the sun, it leaks all over the place. And there's problems with how it fills, too fast, not fast enough kind of a thing. And everything's all contained in one unit, which is kind of nice to go into the woods. And I, in the past, have always had 2 containers. So when I would go into the woods, I would take my 2.5 gallon can and I would take a 1 gallon jug. This happens to be a 2 gallon jug of bar oil. And they're kind of hard to grab together at the same time. And then your chainsaw and then your axe, maybe wedges, whatever else you're carrying into the woods. So it's not that it is bad. It's just generally more than I need. If I'm going to cut for, say, 3-4 hours, I don't need 2.5 gallons of gas. And I don't need a gallon, this is a 2 gallon one, but I don't need a gallon of bar oil. All I really need, I'll set this stuff down so you can see my plan. All I really need is a little gas can and a little bar oil. So my plan is we're going to do some bacon here. I originally thought what I would do is I would take these two as a combo and I would somehow have them together, making like a wire type frame or something around the bottom, maybe wiring it to a piece of stiff plastic or something like that. I even thought about maybe some sheet metal because I just want this, and I want them separate. I don't want it to be permanently hooked together like the Dolmars are. And then I want it to be able to put a scrunch and maybe a wedge with it that I can take into the woods. And I was walking in the aisle of my favorite store. It's called Fleet Farm. It's the man's mall. Everything you want is there. If they don't have it, you don't need it. And I saw this on sale, $5.99. And I'm like, maybe that would work. So then I took this and I thought, oh, look at that, it fits in there. And then I took this and I went, oh, look at that, it fits in there. And then I took this and I thought, I wonder, look at that. It all fits together. And then I can take with my scrunch, and I could somehow mount that on here, somehow on this. I might be using some of this, my favorite color. So I'm going to make myself a little Dolmar kit. And my plan is that I am going to make this, I'm going to bend these sides up so it's a little straighter up, almost like pinch this in here a little bit so it fits a little tighter, because it's just a little bit loose but not bad. And so then I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a heavy gauge wire and go from front to back, punch a little hole front to back, and have it. So all I got to do is bend it out, lift this out, and then this will be contained in there because the wire will wrap around here. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do it yet, but I would use the handle to carry it, just like you would a Dolmar. Have these so they're still separate. I don't need a gallon of bar oil. All I need to take along is this quart, because a quart will fill my saws like, what, 4 times? Something, I think 4 times, I can, maybe even 5, a bunch. And the little 1 gallon, it's 1.5 gallon, is enough to cut for half a day. So I can go back to the truck, sharpen my saws, fill these up, go back to the woods. That's kind of my plan. And then to have a wedge right in here, even though I carry a small wedge a lot of times like this in my pocket of my chaps or of my saw pants, I carry a little wedge like this all the time. And I usually carry my little scrunch in my pocket too. But if I make a little spot to mount this, I could have this whole setup all right together somehow. So I'm going to do some construction right now. So this might work, it might not work. This might be a big fail, but that's my idea. And like I said, the reason I'm doing this is not so much to save money. I just have heard some negative things about the Dolmars. And I looked at them and I thought about getting one. I might still get one just to do a comparison to see which one I like better, what you should do. If you should maybe get the Dolmar. Like I said, they're like 50, 60 bucks, something like that. Different companies make them. I know Husqvarna's got one. But I've heard some things about it that guys didn't like, and I thought, I've never really liked the idea of having everything all in one. I mean, I like the idea, but I don't really like the fact that you couldn't take it apart. Because I want to be able to take this out, put my bar oil in, put it back in. Take this out, put my gas in, put it back in. And if I need a wedge or a scrunch, it's with me. So that's my plan, is to cook this in the pan somehow together. So I'm gonna get busy right now. I'm gonna show you what happens. Well, the first thing I should mention is the cost. So this little, it's not I said before, 1.5, 1.5 gallon, it's 1.25, so it's 5 liters. And for those of you that are good with numbers, you could look at the manual on your saw, look at the tank, and then figure how many tankfuls you could get out of this. I believe with what's in here, just guessing from what my saws take on average, whether it's a 592 all the way down to the, well, the 540's got a smaller tank, but the 562, 572, 564, I'm thinking I probably could fill 5 or 6 times with this tank to my saws. And a quart of bar oil, which is, what is that? It's almost a liter. It's 946 milliliters, so it's almost a liter is what's in here. And this will fill my saw, like I said, I think 4 or 5 times, which is plenty for half a day's of cutting, which generally is what you do before you take a break, get some lunch or something like that. So I think the cost on this particular gas can, and these are the ones that I like the best, I think this was like $22 or $3 I paid for this, something like that. And then of course, you could use any old bar oil or any oil jug for them. A quart one, you could use a black one from your 10W40, whatever, that you put in a machine. You don't have to have the Husqvarna one. I just had this one, so I figured I might use the orange one. And this will be my one that I'll keep with the kid all the time. Because I don't always use the Husqvarna oil. I generally will use whatever's the cheapest. The Mystic I've used all the time, quite often. I've used the stuff that you can get from Tractor Supply. I've used the Echo. I've used all different brands. I've tried it all, and you know what? Some people don't believe me, but bar oil is bar oil. Some of them think some is better than others. You know what? Bar oil works on every chainsaw. It doesn't matter what kind it is. I've never had an issue with it. Some guys run vegetable oil, and they have no problem. And I know for a fact, because I have talked to people in the know, they don't make their own bar oil. They do not have a refinery. Husqvarna, Stihl, Echo, none of them have their own refinery. They all buy in bulk and package it, or they pay someone to package it for them. It's basically the same. And I know there's people that have done tests, and there's slight differences. Yes, there's going to be some slight differences, but not enough to really make any difference, because bar oil is bar oil, I'm just saying. So there you go. So that cost doesn't matter for this, because that's going to be a freebie. So like I said, if a Dolmar is 50, 60 bucks, this right here was $22, $23. This pan I paid $6 for. So if you're looking at being real cheap, you're probably going to get it for about half the cost of what you would if you were going to buy an actual Dolmar. So about half price. To me, it's not that big of a deal, because I think I'm going to get one of those also, because that way I can have 2 kits, and then I'll find out through using them which one I like better. But I can tell you this. These, I think they're called Zero Spills or No Spills. No Spill, that's the name brand. By far, the best new gas can you can get. I don't like any of the other ones with the anti-whatever, don't spill. They just don't work. I like a traditional, just straight shot. But what's nice about these is you've got the relief valve here. You grab it here and here. When you're dumping it in, you tip it in. Nothing will spill until you push back on this green button back here, this green button. Nothing comes out. You can do this, and you can basically kind of milk your gas in slowly, and you can shut it off real easily. These do work, and I do like these. The other thing I don't like about the new ones, the new cans, if you've got the bigger hose, a bigger tube that comes out where you've got to push down onto it, you got to push so hard sometimes and it'll shoot out on you, especially if it's warm and it heats up, your gas to heat up, it'll squirt out on you. It's hard to stop them. Around the neck, if you push on them a whole bunch of times when you're putting gas in, you got to wait, especially on like a 5-gallon one, you're pushing on it and those things leak around the collars here where you tighten it up. The O-rings don't stay on like you want them to. I've never had a good one yet. The other thing that I found out, especially with the flexible tubes, which is what I will put on, I'll take off the piece of crap stiff one they got, the anti-siphon, whatever, don't spill all over the place, I call it. Nobody likes them, nobody. And I think the only people in the world that like them are the people that make them, because they're mandated to sell them at places because the government said, oh, you can't have anything with just a straight tube anymore. you know what everybody does? They take them off, they throw them away, and they put the straight tube on. The bad thing about the straight tube, the flexible ones, which are really nice, and I have those on a lot of my 5-gallon jugs that I use for filling stuff, mice like to chew on them, I found out. I've had 3 of them now, that if I keep outside anywhere, and you'll find there'll be all kinds of little chew marks or squirrels. I don't know what it is. Something's chewing on them. And you go to dump it in, you're spilling gas everywhere. So plastic, more plastic crap. I would like some steel myself, a steel jug. And they do make them, I know that. So maybe someday I'll get one of those. But I do like this push button on this particular brand, the no spill or hardly ever spill. It says no spill right on the bottom. There you go, no spill. That's what it is. No Spill LLC, made in Lenexa, Kansas. There it is, right there. It's printed right on there. There's even a phone number. Look at that. So you can find out where you get them. So if you go to www.nospill.com, you probably can find a distributor if you can't find these anywhere. And they even got a phone number on the bottom. You can call the company and complain if you want if it doesn't work. But I like these. These do work good. I've got a couple 5-gallon ones. I got probably 4 or 5 of the 2.5-gallon ones, and this is the first little bitty one that I bought. So we're going to try it out right now. All right, I'm going to use the old trusty vice grip, and we're just going to bend this up. Nothing special here, and I don't care if it's not perfect. It's just for holding it together. So we're just going to bend this up, and I'm sure some of you would want to put this on an anvil and beat on it, flatten it, and all that kind of stuff. I ain't got to worry about that. We're just going to get this bent up so that it's something like that. So that's what I bent it to. There it is. That's what it was. We're going to do this one next. And just so you know, this is a 13 by 9 inch cake pan. I believe that's what this is. Cake pan, cooking pan. I don't know, it's a pan. I don't cook. I don't bake. I don't do anything. I just eat. My wife is in charge of the kitchen, and I'm totally okay with that. All I'm allowed to do outside when it comes to grilling is starting the fire, and then I'm off limits. Because she's better at it and likes to do it, and I don't. So there you go. Okay, so yeah, that'll work. I can bend this in just a little more. I guess I can bend the whole thing just a little bit farther in. It's stiff enough though, I think. There, so that fits there. And then if I turn this, yeah, I can tighten this whole thing up just a little bit more by the looks of it. A little bit more here. Let's try it again. There's a little bit of play, so that's good, I think. Because I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a hole right here. I'm going to put a hole right here, and then run a piece of wire, loop through it. And I'm going to come around the side over through here. I'm going to come around the side over here. And then I'm going to connect it again over here with a hole in this side here and here, so that it basically has a cradle around the outside. And then what I thought about doing is taking another piece of wire and going with a loop around the wire that comes across this way, have it go through the handle here, and then just have a latch where I just latch it on, where I get it tight enough, so all I gotta do is latch it, squeeze it and latch it, and then it'll all stay together. I think that'll work, and if that doesn't work, my other idea is that I have some webbing strap here. I'll pull this down. I have some webbing strap here, and I could actually cut a slot right here, and I could go up through here, over to here, and then I can get a buckle on it, and I can have it so it just cinches, and I can just cinch it up just like you would with any kind of a strap. I could even put a clip onto it, I suppose. I could clip it and have it so it just clips together, and that would hold it too. So maybe that'll be the second version that I do. But for now, I think I'm just going to do the heavy wire, because I've got some real heavy gauge wire over there I'm going to use. So that's what we're going to do next. All right, so here's what I've got so far. I punched a hole down a little bit on each side. I've got it all. I just punched a hole there, and then I flattened it out. I hit it on the vise here so that I didn't have any sharp spots. And then I just poked a hole through. I bent a little wire. And this is 1/8 inch. I don't know what gauge that is, but it's 1/8 inch. It's pretty heavy duty wire. It's actually pretty hard to bend. So that's my first setup so far. Now I'm going to place the gas. This needs to be in there somewhere. I didn't think of that. Well, that works. Look at that. That'll work. I just line it up right there. So, and I'll just have this. So it just is snug. So this just fits in and out of here. Probably make a little bend right here. Yeah, that'll actually work really good if I have it mounted like that. And I get this little bend right here. A little bend there. Oh, that's going to work out real nice. And I can have this go around. So, because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to have this be separate. I don't want it together. I want to be able to pop this out and then pop it back in like that. And I did put these to the outside right here, so I wasn't scratching here on the inside because I don't want to wear a hole into the jug. But again, this would be easily replaced. I mean, you can get a quart jug for oil just about anywhere. I'm sure you guys all have them laying around somewhere. And we're going to bend this around. I'm going to go down through this hole. So I'm going to get this down threaded through there, and I'm not going to bend it or cut it until I get the sizing right on for what I want. I think that's going to work really good like that. And then it's just a matter of deciding if and how I'm going to put this stuff in there. If I'm going to do a scrunch thing, obviously this could go right here. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to attach this yet. Maybe what I do is I do go with another hole down here and do another piece of wire up to this one right in there. So then if I want to pull the wedge out, I kind of just go like this. And it'll stay in there good enough for walking through the woods that it won't fall out. Maybe that's what I'll do, is I'll put another hole here, flatten this out, and have a piece of wire that goes from here up to here so that the wedge doesn't fall out. And then the scrunch, really, I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. Maybe the scrunch could sit somehow here. I could use a piece of wire in some way so I can mount it here. So I could stick it into the pan. Maybe I could just have a piece of tape here with a little bulge in it so I could just stick it in right there. Because I probably have a dozen, maybe 20 of these. So it's no big deal if I lose it. But I'll do that right now while I'm thinking of it. This is something you got to do to your tools you take into the woods with you. For those of you that haven't been around a while, you don't know how important pink tape is. And some of you are going to say, oh, I'd never use pink tape. That's a girly color. Well, you know what? In the woods, you see this, because that color does not exist in nature. It just isn't anywhere. You can use the green color. I know there's some green tape, there's blue, there's yellow, but this pink shows up so well that you drop this into leaves in the fall of the year, especially if they're orangish color and you're in oaks, that pink will stand out everywhere. So this is what I do to a lot of my scrunches. Because I don't care what it looks like. I just want to be able to find it. So there you go. It's all you need to do. And that will stand out. Because this will not always stay shiny and it can go under leaves. But that little bit of pink makes a world of difference. So there we go. Oh, I do this too a lot of times too. I'll put a piece of pink tape on this handle. And the reason I do that on most of my tanks that are for mixing, that means that that's a mixed tank. I do not put any pink tape on my gas cans that are for regular gas. I only ever put them on my mix ones on the handles. That's kind of my thing that I've done for quite a while. Plus it stands out and I know that is mix. That is mixed, and that's what that is going to be for. So there you go, little tip. All right, just the tip. Let's do this. Put this in here and let's play around with this. I'll turn you guys back on once I get the rest of this figured out. There it is. The kit is complete. I've got everything in here that I think I could need when I go into the woods. And like I said, I carry a scrunch in my pocket, in my chaps, or in my saw pants. I also carry a small wedge. But this way I'll have the big wedge. I will have a scrunch. I will have my bar oil. I will have my fuel. And look at over here. I got a file on there. I don't usually file in the woods. If I get dull, I grab the next saw. But in an emergency, if I needed to, I'll have a file on there. And I just tape that right onto the handle. So that'll work out really good. Now, I got this hook on here. So what I've done is I will have this so that this wire here goes across to the other side and hooks on. All I got to do is pop that off, and it pops off very easily. And then I can open these two main wires on the side. I can pop out my oil actually anytime, so you can see I can grab that and that pops right out. So I can pull my oil out, and then my little scrunch, I've got that on a little piece of wire right here, and I've got that taped on, so it just slides in like that. There's my scrunch. This will pop right back in. If I want to pull my wedge out, it's right here. I just lift up, pull back, like, come on out of there. Come on. Oh, I got caught right there. There we go. I got a little notch right in the wedge there, and it got caught. I suppose I just turn it over. So then again, to go back in, you just slide it in right to there. Everything tightens up, slide it down, and it's in, and it's not going to fall out. Nothing's going to fall out of here. Like I said, I've got my file on the far side there. So if I have an emergency and I need to file in the woods for some reason, I can. I generally don't want to. I want to just put the saw down and grab the next one and just grab the next one and then grab the next one and then grab the next one. I can sharpen at home in the dark at night or when I've got time on a rainy day. I don't have to be in there filing and sharpening in the woods. I just grab the next saw. Because generally if I hit something, it's a nasty thing. It's going to be fence or a rock or something like that. And if I cut a full tank or even if I cut 2 full tanks, it needs to be sharpened anyway. And I just grab the next saw and then go. And then when I get that saw dull, I grab the next saw and then I go. And when that saw gets dull, I grab the next saw, then I go. Because I always take 3 or 4 saws with me. Because I do not want to be working on saws, doing maintenance out in the woods when I can be cutting. I can do maintenance at home in the dark or on a rainy day. So that's just me, but I'm weird that way. When I'm in the woods, I want to be getting stuff done. So there it is. The kit is complete. And again, there's no fuel in here yet. The bar oil is full. That's a brand new jug. And I will fill this up. And then I will be taking this with me. And it's going to be a nice little container to have, like a little sled. I do not care if this gets rusty. If it does, I suppose I could spray paint it pink, maybe. I don't know. It might hold water. So then what I would do is, look at that. I dump it out. No big deal. Or I could drill a little hole in the bottom or something. I don't know. But it'll sit nicely. Or if there is water, I can set this down. It's like a little boat. It'll float away. I doubt that'll happen. There it is. That's all I got for today, folks. It worked out really well. We're going to try it out in 2 days when I go to cut. Right now, I'm going to go home and do some editing. Right now, you're going to go watch some more videos because there's over 2,100 videos on my channel waiting for you to watch right now. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 5:30 a.m. I'll be here waiting for you. You better show up. Good night, everyone.